during the month of May in the spring COVID lockdown in 2020, I saw a single tern flying among the usual black-headed gulls. That was unusual. I followed the footpath along the river towards Ravenhill, seeing several more terns, and then catching sight of a floating raft in the river occupied by a colony of nesting terns. I brought my camera back the following day and returned irregularly from late May to the end of July. The birds in the raft were common terns, the most numerous of the species of tern found around Northern Ireland. All the terns seen in Northern Ireland summer come here to breed, mostly arriving from April. Depending on the species, they winter along the Atlantic coasts. Most of the common terns here spend our winter along the shores of the Gulf of Guinea. Most of the time, there wasn't a great deal of noise or calling from the rafts. It was quiet. Birds just sitting, preening, sitting in the nest, flying in and out, dipping to have a drink. And then every now and then there would be a cacophony. Sometimes because there was an alarm and a large flock left to fly around, but frequently, like now, individual birds calling seem to be related to partners coming and going. Like here. Sometimes we would see a bird arrive carrying a fish and it would offer it on to another adult. This is thought to be part of the courtship ritual between pairs, where the unmated male offers a gift of a fish, gratefully accepted in this case. Every now and then there would be an alarm and a mass takeoff. Sometimes it was provoked like this time when a couple of scullers rode past. At other times there was no obvious cause. They just got up, flew around, and within a few minutes settled back on the raft. There were fishing efforts in the river around the raft, but there was no sign of success there. Some of the fish which I saw brought in definitely came from upstream, although I suspect most came from further down the river and out in Belfast Lough. On arriving with the camera one day to film a bit more, I found this little tern chick perched on the base of the riverbank. Whether provoked by my arrival or hunger, it soon set off back toward the raft, where, obviously unable to fly yet, it took up a perch at water level. Its arrival provoked yet another alarm flight. Not long after, I saw an adult with a fish in its beak circling the raft. This coincided with increased frequency and volume calling by the chick. The position of the chick obviously caused some difficulty for the adult, but eventually the fish was delivered and swallowed. Shortly after, the chick set off from the raft back towards the bank. The swimming chick soon attracted the attentions of a black-headed gull, which seemed to be trying to harass the swimmer. This provoked a general alarm flight from the terns, mobbing the gull in their turn. While a strong swimmer, the chick was obviously near its limits when it reached this rock several yards out from the bank. Having decided to move on again and try and gain the sanctuary of the main embankment, made off, and you could hear the calls of the black-headed gull and the terns as it still swam towards the main bank. Once ashore, there was some serious preening, followed by very vigorous wing flapping. still unable to fly, but not far off from being able to join its companions back on the raft. That is, if it got back. On the river bank it was vulnerable to land mammals, cats, rats, as well as birds predators like the gulls. Back on the raft, the other juveniles had matured with their full flight feathers and looking more and more like the parents every day. By my last visit to Fulham at the end of July, lockdown was over, the traffic was flowing across the bridge and numbers and noise levels were down. But in the midst, those strangers, little grey birds running through the now empty nests and the scrub cover which had grown up several feet. What were these new arrivals? Grey on top, white underparts, a slender beak. The usual bird books were no help initially. It took some friends from the British Trust for Ornithology to come up with a clue as to their possible identity. With the grey uppers and breast with white underparts suggested juvenile sandpipers. The clinching clue was the bobbing motion, just like a wagtail. These were birds on the first stages of migration to their wintering grounds in Africa. Then there were the other birds, which were around in different days of filming. These lesser blackback gulls, and then the harbour guillemots, or black guillemots, who nest in the rock walls along the river banks. This colourful grey wagtail turned up one day just below where I was filming, flitting about the stones at the water's edge, chasing insects.